Good morning, Husker fans. Welcome back to the Husker Big Red YouTube channel. I'm Chris Peterson, and joining me as always is Danny Gillette, and we're back here on this Monday morning for another episode of the podcast, and we're going to look back at the fallout from the Huskers' 59-7 win over Houston Christian. We're going to grade the victory, hand out some game balls. We're going to look at Matt Erickson's commitment. The Huskers finally get the in-state pledge, and we're going to look ahead to Michigan, the huge game next Saturday. So before we do all that, please make sure that you do us the huge favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get into the comment section. Let us know what you think about the win over Houston Christian last weekend or about Michigan coming up this weekend. And Danny, before we get into it, man, how are you on this Monday morning?
I'm doing good for the first time in quite a while. Both my Patriots and Huskers won on the same weekend. So I am very good on this Monday.
Mike Vrabel, getting going a little viral with the running down the sideline on the touchdown.
He still got it. He can still play linebacker, I think. I think he still can play.
He still can. So yeah, that was a good win for the Pats to get a nice win. Yeah, what was it, 33-30 or 33-27?
33-27. Miami returned a kickoff, and then Antonio Gibson, that's where the Vrabel moment came in to return it back 90 yards, and Drake May played well. And first win in Miami since 2019, so it's a tough place to play down there.
That has been a tough place for the Patriots to win in Miami historically. So so good for them. And for Nebraska, it wasn't much of a struggle. They pretty much, you felt the game was locked up about, 2 drives into it. I mean, Houston Christian did put forth a valiant effort. I mean, they came up with that goal to go stop. They did come up with a rushing touchdown. I didn't think they would get a touchdown. So they did exceed my expectations in that part of it. But yeah, I thought there was a lot of good things. We saw TJ Lateef and Cortez Mills hook up with the touchdown. We got to see Quentin Ives. Deshaun McCullough got the sack. Riley Van Poppel, gets the forced fumble, and we get the scoop and score from Williams Nori. So I feel like, we got to see a lot of big things, even though it wasn't, maybe the most exciting opponent. There was a lot of exciting plays to take away.
Cortez Mills really impressed me, and I know I've been, banging the Cortez Mills drum for these past couple weeks, but he's going to be a stud, and so is TJ Lateef. So, it was really impressive, and I love seeing the big man score from Williams Nwaneri. I love that, rumble down the field for the touchdown. I love it, and there was a lot of good things, a lot of really encouraging things. I thought Quentin Ives. We had questions about the running back depth heading into Michigan, and Ives certainly made a statement on the ground and in the passing game on Saturday.
Yeah, it was interesting that Ives got a lot of carries. I wasn't surprised. The only thing that surprised me is that Nelson, Mekhi Nelson and Isaiah Mosey didn't get any carries. I thought that was kind of interesting. But to me, that signals that, the coaches really trust Quentin Ives. That's what it truly tells me is. And I'm not saying they don't trust those other guys, but, when it comes to being a running back, there's more than just running the ball, right? There's pass protection. There's other things like that. And if you have a guy that can't pass protect, it makes it really hard to play him because then you're putting him in the game and the other team kind of knows like he's only going to run the ball and you just can't really do that. And so I thought it was interesting that Ives played, kind of as long as he did, but he also, he was in there on the first series. On the first series of the game, he caught a pass from Dylan Raiola. So I think that shows you like this coaching staff trusts him to, pass protect for Dylan Raiola. They trust him to run in those situations. He had a touchdown in the bowl game last year. So I think it really was a matter of him getting healthy, and he may not be, quite 100%, but he looked pretty good on Saturday. 12 carries for 85, 86 yards, almost 100 yards because he had a couple catches there. So I thought it was a good performance by him, and I think he kind of put that question to bed about who is RB2, going into Big Ten play.
And I didn't realize how much of a power back he is. Like when I watched him run, it was so physical. He welcomed the contact. He wasn't the fastest runner, but, he ran with a purpose. And I didn't realize how physical he actually was. I mean, he scored some red zone and goal line touchdowns, but I hadn't really seen him in extended action, because he hasn't, played in extended action or had many opportunities to. And now that I've seen him, it was very apparent that he's a very physical running back.
Yeah, definitely a different dimension, a different dynamic with Quentin Ives than any other running back, I would say, on this roster. 6'3", 215 pounds. So you got Vincent Giannatoni, who's 6 foot, 225 pounds, kind of more of a fullback. Nelson's 125 pounds. Mosey's 210, so it's not like he's a small guy, but Quentin Ives is just a big dude. 6'3", 215 pounds. I think it gives him a nice kind of balance for Emmett Johnson, who's more of a shifty guy, kind of gives him that power runner. And they do need to be a little bit better in those power running situations. I mean, the one concern I would say that I have about this offense is, the red zone production, and specifically goal to go situations, because not Central Michigan, Akron stopped them twice. They held them to a field goal, and they had the fourth down stop on the Heinrich run last week. Cincinnati, we struggled in goal to go situations, had the one field goal, and scored on the fourth down late in the fourth quarter, but still had to get to fourth down to score. And then, come out in this game and you get a goal to go situation to start, and you get held to a field goal. So that is one of my lingering concerns going into this Michigan game, because that's one thing that will sink you in a game like this, is kicking too many field goals. And I know that Nebraska scored 59 points, but there has been a trend of, like, when they get in those goal to go situations, they do sometimes struggle. So that's going to be something I'll be watching against the Wolverines this Saturday.
Yeah, and we saw on another opportunity in the red zone, Ja'Cory Barney's first receiving touchdown. So they can convert. I don't know if they're going to be able to just power their way through. They might have to come up with some creative play designs, but I mean, I think, that bubble screen type of play to Barney for the touchdown was a great play design. So I'm curious to see how Dana Holgorsen draws things up.
Yeah, it'll be you definitely have to get creative. It is good to be able to run the ball down there close to the end zone. So hopefully they can find a little more success with that. It just seems like they're still kind of figuring out how to do, the short yardage thing. They kind of tried the tush push with Harburg, and that didn't really work. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm wondering if they see Ives as a short yardage guy, but I don't necessarily buy the idea that just because the guy's bigger, he's going to be better in short yardage. So I don't know. I'd probably just roll with Emmett Johnson in those situations. But we haven't seen a ton of it. But they do need to be more efficient, in those goal to go, in those red zone situations, because when you get in these top 25 kind of games, and every time you kick a field goal, it's like one step closer to losing. That's how I think about it in my mind. I know field goals are important and they can be in certain situations. I'm not saying they're not good, but you get scoring opportunities against teams like Michigan, you have to take advantage. So that's one area of concern that I have. But yeah, I mean, I thought, Raiola looked great. I mean, 15 to 21, the ball was never in jeopardy, 221 yards. He looks as good as any quarterback I've seen this year. I know the competition outside of Cincinnati hasn't been spectacular, but I mean, he's done everything that you could want him to do. I mean, he's making quick decisions. He's thrown the ball down the field. It's crazy to me. I mean, I know some Nebraska fans are like wowed by TJ Lateef, but like there's some that are like, oh, maybe we should be playing TJ Lateef. Like, no, Dylan Raiola is going to be a first round pick. Like, he's playing like a first round pick right now. So just enjoy what we've got. And this is going to be a big test for him on Saturday. This will be, Wink Martindale. Michigan runs that NFL style defense. So I'm sure they're going to try to trick him up. That's not going to be easy to do, though. I mean, this is an experienced quarterback. He's been through the ringer. He's seen a lot. And I think you're seeing that maturity. And now the mental side of it, which was always really strong with Dylan Raiola, has caught up with the physical ability, which has gotten even better. He's more athletic. He's stronger. He's faster. So, I mean, he's just, to me, it's night and day from where he was last year. And he was pretty good as a freshman last year.
Typical Nebraska fans, not appreciating what's in front of them and always wanting the next big thing. But anyway, I think one of the things that I've noticed about Raiola too is that he's not necessarily going for the home run deep plays. He's just taking what the defense gave him. We saw it against Cincinnati. We didn't really have to see it too much against Akron, and even in this game we didn't really see it a ton. But it's obvious that he's formed a good rapport with Dane Key, and Key had another strong day. And I was just thinking when I was watching the game, when you think about the returns that we got from the wide receivers from the transfer portal last year, and Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nair, what Isaiah Hunter and Key have done, I think has surpassed them already.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just, those guys are true. I mean, Nair and Banks were solid players. I mean, they were solid additions. I think they made the room better than it would have been. But but Hunter and Dane Key are playmakers. I mean, Dane Key, to me, has played like an all Big Ten receiver. Maybe, when I say all Big Ten, I'm saying first, second, 13, because there's a million great players in the Big Ten. But I think that he right now deserves to be on one of those teams the way he's played. 3 touchdown receptions already, had over 100 yards, just smooth as all get out. And that slant route, that to me, that was another great throw. You saw it last week with Quinn Clark. Like, it was boom, right on the money, and it's in traffic. And if Dylan doesn't hit that throw right on the money, it's not a touchdown. It's, it's a good gain, but that's the difference between, those few inches, those centimeters, however, that distance between having to move your body back and catching it in stride. That's the difference between a 20-yard gain and a 39-yard touchdown. And that's the difference that we're seeing with Dylan Raiola so far this season. Now, he needs to do it against, Big Ten competition and whatever, but I mean, he was pretty darn flawless against Cincinnati, except that one throw. It was just kind of the way that the game plan went, and it's going to be really interesting to see what Michigan does. I'm really not sure how they're going to, attack him, because Wink Martindale can get blitz happy, but he can also sit back and play coverage too. So, I'm not sure what Michigan's going to do. Probably is going to depend on how the offensive line, holds up against their front, but based on how Michigan's played teams, like Ohio State last year, they dropped back a lot of guys in coverage, and they trusted their pass rush to get home. And I think that's going to have to be their plan against Nebraska, because, I mean, I just don't see Dylan Raiola getting fooled by a bunch of blitzes. I just really don't. I think he's
play more zone.
Yeah, I mean, they mix it up.
Because Raiola loves zone, and the numbers show that he does really well against zone. So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'd say probably. Yeah, it's probably more. I'd say it's probably more zone coverage than man, but they do switch it up quite a bit. But yeah, I would think that ideally, it'd be like zone coverage, or maybe like some matchup zone type stuff. Like cover 3. I'm trying to think, like kind of matchup zone type. They do some different things like that. So yeah, it's just they like, Wink does like to get crazy with his blitzes, and honestly, like, if I was Nebraska, I would welcome that, because I just don't think that Raiola is going to get confused. And so if you are blitzing, it's going to be a lot of zone stuff, like zone pressures, zone reads, simulated pressures, and I just don't think Raiola is going to be tricked with that type of stuff. I mean, they tried it with Oklahoma.
I remember seeing a graphic, like he did, like his numbers against zone were really, really good. So
then it's just a matter of whether they get home or not. And so the offensive line, I think, is going to be, I mentioned this, I think, off air, but I think the offensive line is going to really probably determine whether Nebraska wins this game as much as Raiola, because the offensive line is going to give Raiola the chance to win the game. As long as they do that, as long as they give him the chance to make plays and, dissect the defense, I think Nebraska is going to win this game. It's going to be an exciting game. I think both quarterbacks are going to play well. I think there's going to be quite a few points scored. Like, I would bet the over. That would be my betting advice. Michigan's a 1.5 point favorite. The over is 44.5. I think we're going to see more than 44 points scored Saturday. So I think it's going to be a quarterback duel, but I don't know. I felt all offseason Nebraska's going to win this game, and I just think this is the one where it kind of all comes to fruition. So hopefully that's, so this was just kind of the final tune-up in my, Houston Christian. It's like, okay, cool, let's get on to Michigan. That's what I felt like, through this entire game. Like, let's get on to Michigan. I did think that we saw some good things. Still a little bit worried about the run defense. It was good for most of the day. I mean, the starters were pretty solid, but I didn't like seeing Sean Edwards break the tackle of Jalen George and go whatever he did, 50, 45 yards for a touchdown. But
that was a video game like play, because by that point you didn't think he was going to escape the tackle, and then he ran all the way over to the other side. That's a play I do in Madden. I mean, that was honestly a good play by Edwards, and so I didn't like seeing that, but I understood why it happened. I don't know how he got out of that tackle.
Yeah, so yeah, that was an impressive play. So I mean, outside of that, he only got barely over 3 yards a carry. Yeah. So I mean, I think the run defense did a pretty good job. That's still one of my concerns, though, going into this game this weekend, and it's been a concern since the Cincinnati game, especially with Bryce Underwood running for 114 yards last weekend. So I don't know if he's going to run as much like that against Nebraska, but I mean, it sounds like the Michigan coaching staff realized that they kind of messed up against Oklahoma by not running him and not letting him be aggressive. So I don't think they're going to come out with a similar type of game plan that they had then. So we'll see. It seems like Nebraska's going to have to deal with a dual threat quarterback again.
And also, too, I mean, it's going to be a lot easier to get up for Michigan than it is for Houston Christian, and even the players feel that. So I bet you they'll be playing at another level come Michigan. But one of the things that I am a little bit concerned about is Malcolm Hartzog's health, because we saw Jameer Khan kind of take his place, and while Colin, tried really hard and did his best, you saw Houston Christian kind of pick on him a little bit towards the end, especially with those like in routes and kind of those hitches. So I'm hoping Hartzog is healthy, or Colin can play at a little bit of a higher level, because they did expose him a couple times.
I think I think they will probably, like they did Saturday, have if Malcolm can't go, I think it'll be Sayer, right? That'll start in that nickel position like he did Saturday, and Donovan Jones will be out at corner. So, Jameer Khan will probably get out there some, but I'm guessing, not as much as I think it'll be more of they'll go with more of the cornerbacks, and then Rex Guthrie kind of bumping up there. Michigan's receivers aren't super great though. So, we'll see. I mean, we'll have plenty of time to talk about that matchup too, but, yeah, Nebraska's pass defense, I mean, that's one thing going into this. They haven't allowed a 100-yard passer all season. They actually lead college football in pass defense, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I think 76 yards might be the most they've given up this year. I mean, I know who the competition is, but when you look at Cincinnati, Brandon Sorsby's he's averaged, I think, 295 passing yards per game in the last 2 games. I was just
about to say that Cincinnati win is looking better by the day.
So, I mean, yeah, I think when you look at 17 points against Cincinnati, and that quarterback was pretty good.
Yeah,
I'd take 17. If Nebraska holds Michigan to under 20 points, they will win the game on Saturday. I 100% believe that. So if they can hold Michigan to 17 points, which I think they can do, they got a good chance to do it. It's going to be the one thing that they can't do is they can't allow, Justice Haynes to have a big like 50-yard touchdown run like he had against Oklahoma. So that's one thing that worries me. But before we get too much into that one, let's hand out our grades for Houston Christian. So let's start with the offense. I mean, a pretty big day overall. 59 points. It's hard to complain about much when you score 59 points and have over 500 yards of total offense. So I'm going to give him an A. I'm going to hold back the A plus just because I would like to see the touchdown early on, the field goal where they had to kick it, near the end zone. But outside of that, outside of the red zone, the goal to go situations, I thought they did a great job. Like I said, Raiola was near perfect. I like that Emmett Johnson just got 13 carries for 78 yards, had a couple touchdowns. Dane Key 4 for 104 yards. Good to see him get over 100. So I thought it was an A effort for the offense.
TJ Lateef had another good game too. I don't think we're going to be able to keep him a secret much longer. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see where he falls and how he kind of shapes up this whole quarterback room. But I'll give him an A. I think they did what they needed to do. And shout out to Corey Barney for his first receiving touchdown, as well as Cortez Mills for his first touchdown. And I would love to see a Lateef Mills combination hook up quite often.
Yeah, that was funny. I did not realize that was Ja'Cory Barney's first receiving touchdown.
I didn't either.
I have to admit that caught me off guard. I did want to say earlier, I made a mistake. I said that Quentin Ives was under 100 yards, total yards. He actually went over it. Excuse me. He had 36 yards receiving, so he did have 121 total yards for Quentin Ives. So just wanted to make a correction there before I get lit up in the comments. But for some reason I thought he only had like 2 for 7, but he had 2 for 36. So a nice day for him. And like I said, got some time with Raiola. So I think we know who the running back 2 is at this point. Not that things can't change, but anyway, so looking to the defense, they did give up the one touchdown that was, more of the backups though. Like I said, Jalen George was in there. There's a guy who could play with the first team, but just slipped a tackle, and Exxon Edwards just made a great play. But 3 sacks. There was a couple of forced fumbles. McCullough had a sack. Riley Van Poppel had a sack. Marcus Watson Trent had a sack on the opening series near the goal line, coming on a little blitz. So that was a nice play. Williams Noweri ran the touchdown back. So 2 takeaways, 3 sacks. They gave up 11 first downs, 160 total yards. I have to say an A. I mean, I just can't really complain much about what the defense did on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that this year in particular that they're doing a good job at creating turnovers. And that's not always been the case in previous years, so I'll give them an A.
And I'm trying to blank, but we did get some special teams work on Saturday, right? I'm not for Archie. Did Archie get any punts in on Saturday?
I don't think so. Poor Archie. He hasn't punted in like 2 weeks. His
gonna look
family's
again.
coming from Australia to see these games, and he hasn't punted in 2
Well,
weeks.
I saw somebody say, could Dana and Dylan be so good that we can redshirt Archie because he only have to play in 4 games this year? So I know that would
Poor
be kind
Archie.
of, yeah, it's not bad if your
No.
punter's not doing anything here. But yeah, no punts for poor Arch. We did have a 38-yard punt return by Isaiah Mosey, so that was a nice
Yeah.
Kenneth
Yeah.
Williams had a 28-yard return.
I'll
4
be honest,
touchback.
I had no idea who Kenneth Williams was even before the season started. And between his work in the backfield and his work on special teams, like he's catching my attention.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those, another one of those walk-on guys that they want to
He
get
was a
rid of.
walk-on guy. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought he played really well, and just some other guys. Rex Guthrie, 6 tackles, half a tackle for loss. Like I love the way that guy comes up in the run game. I mean, he fits. He gets his run fits like just his hair on fire, man. Like I love Rex Guthrie. That guy's a dude.
It was
Trying to
good to see watching Trent get home. I know we've been talking about him a little bit and struggling a little bit, but he got home on that play.
Yeah, and Riley Van Poppel, was good to see that, sack, forced fumble, tackle for loss. He had a nice game. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a strong effort all around by the defense. In terms of special teams, yeah, they didn't miss any kicks. No bad snaps that I can remember. Looks like the coverage was that we did a good job in coverage. Looking at their returns here,
Andrew
basically
Marshall had a good
nothing.
game coming down for tackles and stuff. He had a couple tackles and he had another solid game.
And since they didn't get any punts, no punt returns, 132-yard kickoff return. So, I mean, I guess you'd rather not see a kickoff return over 30 yards, but that's probably pretty nitpicky at this point with the way that the game worked out.
Yeah.
So, I'd have to give them an A as well for the special team. So an A all around for me for this game.
Yeah, for sure. And before I forget, shout out to our guy Isaac Dickey for seeing some action and getting a carry. That was pretty cool. And you talk about goal line situations. I wouldn't mind seeing him back there. Give him a shot.
Yeah, and kind of the old true fullback. So yeah, good to see him. Connor Booth got some carries.
Yep.
Genatoni. So yeah, good to see the bench clear out a little bit. It was nice to see Heinrich come up with the reception. He looks pretty good doing that, I thought. So
He laid a block too somewhere. I forget where it was, but he absolutely flattened the guy, and you could hear the pads click on the TV. So he's a really good blocker. I'm very impressed with the way he's blocked this year.
Still not much, production from Carter Nelson. Some a little bit on Saturday, but yeah, maybe he needs a year to redshirt just to kind of get healthy again and come back in 2026. I don't know.
And you hate to hear that and kind of think about that because we've been down this road with highly regarded tight ends before, but in this equation, he also has to think about his life after football. So maybe it would be best friend. I just hate to see it because, it reminds me a lot of Thomas Fedoni. I mean, it just does, and I hope he can get healthy and have a long career here. But maybe another year off would be good for him, and especially with the emergence of Luke Lindenmeyer in the tight end room and how well he's playing. I mean, that forces Nelson to be able to kind of develop at his own pace and get healthy at his own pace. I just hate to see it,
Yeah, he just doesn't quite look right. Not that I saw him a ton, but he just doesn't. Yeah, so I think maybe he'll end up redshirting this year, and that'll give him 3 years after to kind of achieve what he wants to with his Nebraska career. So, all right, let's move on to game balls. Who's your game ball going to this week, Danny?
John Butler. I mean, he has been able to really strengthen this defense and really get the guys to buy into what they want to do and what he wants to do. And I know maybe I'll give a game ball to a player too, but I can remember when we struggled with Northern Iowa last year defensively. And, now it looks like this defense is really confident in what they want to do and their identity. And it's clear that they've bought in, especially the secondary. And so I think John Butler's done a good job. As far as a player is concerned, I'll go with Quentin Ives. I thought he really, like you said, solidified his case to be the number 2 running back. He had over 100 yards of total offense, and he ran really, really well. I was very impressed with him. And like you said earlier, now I can feel confident in saying that we have 2 capable running backs. He really showed me something on Saturday.
I'm going to give my game ball to Dane Key, 4 receptions, 104 yards. He had the 40-yarder. I felt that he was going to have a big game, and I mean he's played well before, but it was good to see him get over 100 yards. You could give the game ball to Quentin Ives. I mean Dylan Raiola. There's lots of guys. Really, the entire defense. It's hard for me to pick out one or two guys, although Van Poppel probably or Deshaun McCullough might be the guys to get it there. But I'm going to go with Dane Key. And yeah, just a great effort all around by this Nebraska team, but good to see the transfer, lead the team in receiving and get into the end zone for the third straight week.
And you could tell that Key and Raiola have a connection, and it's working. Raiola tried to establish that with the wide receivers last year, and it just never came to fruition. It's clear that Key and Raiola are on the same page.
And then, so Saturday wasn't the only good news that Nebraska got on Saturday. They also picked up the commitment from Matt Erickson, which we've been predicting. We've been believing that it was going to happen. There was a lot of predictions, so we weren't the only ones. But the 6'7", nearly 6'8", 283-pound offensive tackle, who's the third-ranked player in the state of Nebraska for the 2027 class, 434 overall via the On3 industry rankings, committed on Saturday. So I think this is a great piece to have in the 2027 class. I think he's got a good chance. He's not that far from being a 4-star right now. I think he's got a good chance to grow into that. And this feels like a guy that's going to be, probably a starting right tackle for Nebraska for like multiple seasons in the future. That's my projection for Matt Erickson.
Yeah, no, he is a very talented player. He is a very stout lineman. He's got some really good size to him. 6'7.5". He is the 30th overall offensive tackle in the class and the third overall player in Nebraska. So I'm really excited about this. And now when you look at the balance of the 2027 class so far, you have a quarterback, a safety, and an offensive lineman. So a really solid start to the class. And, I think when you look at offensive linemen, sure, stars matter, but sometimes overall talent kind of precedes the star ranking, and I think that's the case with Erickson. I think Nebraska got a really good player here.
Yeah, I think a good comparison might be, like Bryce Benthart, but the last 2 years he was at Nebraska, like not the first couple of years, but the last 2 years, like a big, a big, strong right tackle. I mean, that's what Matt Erickson seems like to me. So you could have maybe have a situation someday where you got Claude Mpuma on one side and Matt Erickson on the other side. I mean, really, that's
good to me.
Could have something like that. So I really like Matt Erickson, and I think he's better than his ranking shows right now. So good work by Matt Rhule, and one of the top priorities in the state, one of the top priorities in this class. They've already got 3 top priorities. So we'll see how that continues to develop. But if you keep winning, you win the game Saturday, I think that's really going to help with your recruiting as well.
Yeah, we got some visitors. On Saturday. I know we have a linebacker from Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken, that's coming. And we got a couple guys coming. So it's going to be a fun day. It's going to be a fun day on Saturday. Hopefully Nebraska win. Now, Chris, who are you rooting for?
Well, yeah, it's always tough with Michigan. Won't really be cheering for anybody. I'll just be 50-50 watching the game. So
that's a cop-out answer, but I understand why you have that answer. So,
but yeah, I do think it's going to be an interesting game. I'll be happy either way. I don't want to see Nebraska lose, but I am a Michigan fan too. So my family's from Detroit, and I lived in Hastings for quite a few years. So it is kind of a weird week. It's a big game for both teams. Michigan's 2-1. Ranked 21st, Nebraska's 3-0. So whoever wins this game is kind of going to be springboarded, I would say, into the playoff conversation. And then Nebraska, I think, if they lose, they've got more probably wiggle room. But Michigan also has more kind of marquee games. Nebraska really doesn't have a lot after this one. USC and Penn State. Because man, some of these other I cannot believe that UCLA. I can't believe Deshaun Foster's getting fired out of UCLA. That's crazy.
Rough. I thought he was a really good coach. I don't think he's the problem necessarily. I think it's Nico.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem is.
When you look at Joey Aguilar over at Tennessee, he's doing okay. So I think they bet on Nico and lost.
I mean, I think it goes beyond that, but I'm wondering if Nico enters the portal like today or this week, because now that those coaches have been fired, they have 30 days to enter, and he hasn't played for it. I mean, somebody will take him, because somebody in the SEC will, Auburn or like one of those teams of Michigan State. Like, somebody will pay him. I would if I was him. Like that UCLA seems like such a dumpster fire. I mean, I don't know how that all works with your NIL and stuff, but if I was him, I would put my name in the portal, preserve my red shirt, and get the hell out of there and try to go somewhere else and figure something out. I don't know. I mean,
And
it's
I
not gonna.
honestly like Deshaun Foster. Like I liked Deshaun Foster what he was able to do last year. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they closed the season really strong. I mean, they kicked our butt in Lincoln, so I thought that he had him trending up. But I mean, I just think one thing with like Chip Kelly is he just did not recruit there when he was the head coach. He just would not recruit. He basically had all transfers. Like every class that he signed looked like Nebraska's 2026 class. Like he just didn't want to recruit. And so eventually that kind of thing catches up to you. And I think unfortunately Deshaun Foster's kind of feeling the impacts of that.
And also from his time at BC, I can say this kind of loudly. And with certainty, Martin Jarmond is sort of an incompetent athletic director and always goes on to the next shiny thing. So not having leadership at the top also hurts.
Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely does. So that makes that game maybe a little bit easier, that trip to UCLA, which I was actually kind of worried about. So I don't know, maybe that'll just be more of a walk in the park for the Huskers. But yeah, I mean, looking ahead to this Michigan game, I did want to spend a few minutes talking about it. I think it is going to be an interesting matchup, an interesting dynamic for both teams. Michigan obviously doesn't have their head coach, but they have, Biff Poggi, who has been an experienced head coach. And I mean, a lot of Michigan fans are, it's kind of dumb by fans as they're like, oh, Sharon Moore is not coaching this week. That was the problem with the offense. Whereas the truth is Sharon Moore was with the team all week last week until 12:01 Saturday morning. So I'm sure he had a hand in the game plan. I don't think that the assistant coaches decided to run Bryce Underwood without Sharon Moore's approval. But that's
makes the fans feel better, right?
Yeah, it's like the fans that think TJ Lateef should be starting over Dylan. I actually saw that comment. I saw a comment. I think it was on my Facebook page, but it was like, if Dylan Raiola doesn't play on Saturday, people are going to be calling for TJ Lateef, and it was just like, oh my God, are you kidding me?
I know we're doing the first look at Michigan here, but can I just say, do you remember our quarterback play? Not you, but to the fans who want TJ Lateef, do you remember our quarterback play before Dylan Raiola got here? Do you really want to run Dylan Raiola out of town, people? Hello.
Yeah, apparently they don't.
Hello?
I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm glad that TJ Lateef looks good against some backups, but it's like,
and I think he will be good, like beyond just the backups. But
yeah, he looks good. I mean,
why can't we just appreciate what Dylan Raiola is doing right now? It's just like the rest of the college football world. He's not getting appreciated for what he's doing right now, and it's hard to get appreciated in the college football circle when you're not even appreciated by your own fans. Damn it.
I know. Again, I mean, he's almost completing every pass. Like the ball barely
in passing right now.
Yeah, in passing yards, he's probably leading the conference in completion percentage because I mean he's just been on fire this year. So yeah, I don't know how anybody could not be just over the moon excited with how Dylan Raiola has played so far this season.
I don't know either. It's so puzzling. Like, why do you want to run him out of town? You wanted to run him out of town since last year, and now he's performing really, really well, and you still don't want him. So I don't know.
But I mean, looking at the New Mexico quarterback Jack Lane, who's an experienced guy, was over to throw for over 200 yards against Michigan. I mean, New Mexico beat UCLA on Saturdays or whatever last Friday, so they're not a slouch. I mean, he's a good quarterback. And then Mateer threw for he had 333 total yards. A lot of those were rushing, but he did throw the ball pretty well against Michigan. Had one really bad interception, where a guy was basically wide open for a touchdown if Mateer hits him in stride, like we were talking about with Raiola. And he threw it like 10 yards up over his head and behind him, like threw it right to the safety. So, if he actually makes a good throw there, like I think if that was Raiola, that would have been a touchdown. So, I think there's going to be some chances for big plays in this game. Michigan's cornerbacks aren't like super elite. They do have a guy that's being projected as potentially a first round pick, Jair Hill. He'll probably match up with Dane Key, and he can be really good, but he's very inconsistent.
Yeah.
So I think that the matchup with the receivers goes to Nebraska with that receiver cornerback matchup. I do think it's going to be about protection, and running the football is going to be important with that too, because you don't want to sit here and be 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9, 3rd and 9. You don't want to be in that situation against this defense where they can really tee off on you. But I just feel like if Raiola is only sacked like 1 or 2 times, I think Nebraska's going to win this game.
And honestly, I think a lot of it will come down to Luke Lindenmeyer. And I know I keep saying his name, but he's been a safety valve for Rhule, and he's played at a high level. He only had, a catch for 9 yards, but in case Michigan locks up Key on the outside, then, I think that Lindenmeyer could be kind of that safety valve for Rhule. Now, with that being said, having a guy like Key, and even honestly, having an athlete like Cortez Mills really helps Nebraska here. I mean, we haven't had an athlete like Cortez Mills in quite some time, so I expect him to be fully unleashed on Saturday. At least that's what I want. I mean, at this point, just take his red shirt off and let him play. And because 3 catches, 98 yards, and that touchdown. I mean, how could you not play him?
Yeah, I think we'll see him some, and he could be an X factor, in this game. So that'll be interesting. Lindenmeyer is another guy. Emmett Johnson, I think, is going to have a big game. Specifically, like I know they talked about Quentin Ives and we saw him, but I feel like it's going to be like the Cincinnati game. I think Emmett Johnson's going to have to carry the load in this one quite a bit. So. We'll see, man. I can't wait though. I wish it was Saturday already. Like this is, it feels like we're finally. I know we had that first game was like real, but it feels like this is the real start of the Nebraska football season.
I know. I'm so fired up. CBS, like I said, old time football. Michigan, Nebraska, 2 really good teams. And it feels like this team can beat Michigan. Like I remember 2023. I'm like, oh, let's just hope it doesn't get too bad. And JJ was throwing darts over our head, and we had 3 guys, and oh god, what was that receiver's name? He got drafted by Pittsburgh. I remember he beat us so bad.
Roman Wilson.
There we go, Roman Wilson. He was jumping over 15 defenders, and 72-2 after 2 quarters, and it was just no fun. This one I think is going to be fun. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to, the training wheels are going to come off, because I do think Dana Holgerson's been holding back in his play design and his play calling a little bit for this game. So I'm curious to see what he draws up for Saturday.
It's going to be fun because you think about Nebraska and Michigan. You don't necessarily think about like super dynamic quarterbacks, but that's what we're going to see on Saturday. I think we're going to see 2 superstar quarterbacks with kind of like a coming out party. Like I think this is going to be Dylan Raiola's coming out party. I think it's going to be, somewhat for Bryce Underwood. Like I think Bryce is going to play a lot better than he did against Oklahoma. I don't think they're going to win, but I think it's going to be. I think people are going to look back at this game and it's going to be the Bryce, Dylan Raiola and Bryce Underwood duel. Yeah. And I think it's going to be a classic. And I think Nebraska's going to win. So there you have it.
And now it's going to be in the national spotlight, so people won't have an excuse to underestimate Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, for sure. He's get him in that Heisman conversation, baby. Let's go.
I don't know if I want him there because that's a lot of pressure, and I just want him to, fly under the radar. You know what I mean? I'm happy with Nebraska flying under the radar. I have them fly under the radar because it seems like whenever we don't, it's when we fail. So have everybody fly under the radar, please. And I'm very excited for Saturday. I hate to say it, no disrespect to Akron, Houston Christian, but the real season is beginning, and I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, this is the first true test. So we will be back later this week for some previews, some predictions for this Michigan game. So if you haven't already, please do us the big favor of hitting the like button, hit the subscribe button, and always go Big Red.
Go Big Red.